Hey guys, welcome to a very quick impressions video that I'm going to be doing for this game right here, Dante's Inferno for the PlayStation 3. And this is an okay game. It's definitely not great, but I believe you can get this for under $10 nowadays at GameStop. So for under $10, this is a very good game to check out. Essentially, and just to get it out of the way, this is a God of War ripoff, straight up. It borrows a lot of gameplay mechanics from God of War. It's the typical hack and slash where you face a pretty big number of enemies, and you have to tap and smash your attack buttons to chain different combos together. And usually when you face a tougher enemy or a boss battle, at the very end you have to perform a finishing move by doing a quick time event type of scenario. And the finishing move is obviously really gory, really violent. So it really is a God of War clone. But the good news is that the game copies the God of War gameplay fairly well. The game does have some elements where you can collect souls, and with those souls you can purchase new combos, new types of attacks, and you can even upgrade some of your magical attacks. So the game does offer some variation as you progress through the game, but I think the main draw for me for this game was the story and the setting. This game is loosely based on the Divine Comedy by the very famous Italian poet Dante Alighieri. It does have some changes. It's not it doesn't follow the Divine Comedy right to the teeth. For example, you play as Dante, but you're not a poet in this game. You're actually a crusader warrior. So there are some changes, but the story still is very interesting. It's a simple story. Basically, you have to go into hell, go through 9 different rings, and at the end you have to defeat Lucifer to save Beatrice, which is your loved one. But it's really interesting progressing through the different rings in hell, because each ring has its own theme going on for it. For example, one ring, you reach an area, there is lust, another area is greed, another area is gluttony. So basically you go through the capital sins, and again, the setting has its own theme, and the enemies are also based on those themes as well. So the enemies are very different in this game, and it's just really fun exploring. The game itself doesn't have a good level design, but again, it's just the setting is very well presented in this game, and it actually reminded me a little bit of Shadow Man. I don't know if you guys ever played that game. I did play it for the Nintendo 64, and in that game you also had to go back to I think to hell and face Jack the Ripper, and it had some pretty dark and grotesque environments, and this game reminded me of that. Also, it reminds me a little bit of Soul Sacrifice for the PlayStation Vita, which also has a very dark theme and very grotesque type of enemies. So the game is a little bit strong in that regard. Very dark themes going on for the game, but very well presented. Another big positive for this game is that this game runs at a solid 60 frames per second. And that makes the gameplay really fun, actually, because the game runs smooth, and the gameplay it's very crisp and clean. And for a type of for a hack and slash game where you have a lot of enemies at the same time, that's really impressive, actually. So props to Visceral Games, which is EA published this game, and Visceral developed the game. They're the people behind the Dead Space series. So props to them for maintaining that 60 frames per second, a solid frame rate. And really interesting story, really interesting setting. Again, the game is a little bit generic. It's essentially a God of War clone, if you will. But for under $10, I actually highly recommend this game. And another thing that I really liked about this game is that it's really short. It's a perfect game if you're playing a long RPG and you just want to take a break, this is a perfect game to throw in. I believe it took me 7 hours to beat the game the first time around, and I actually decided to play it a second time to get the platinum trophy, which means that I 100% completed this game. And that's another thing. If you like achievements or trophy, if you're into trophy collecting, this game is really easy to attain 100%. You essentially have to play the game twice, collect all the collectible items. It's really easy. And if you're into achievements and all that, this is actually a really easy game. Between 10 and 15 hours of gameplay, you can complete this game 100%. So I wouldn't be upset if I paid $60 when this game came out, but nowadays, since you can get it for $10, this is a very solid God of War clone, and I enjoyed it a lot. So if you guys want to check it out, I definitely recommend it. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.